My name is Taguchi, and I'm a feminist. Now, I'm sure at least half of you are already zoning out or rolling your eyes, and I get it. I'm sure you've heard the whole feminist spiel 1,000 times over, and you don't want to have to sit there and listen to someone who's forcing their views on you. So I'm decidedly not going to do that. Before starting my research for this TED Talk, I wanted to find out what my peers thought. So naturally, I posted a poll on my Instagram. I asked people if they considered themselves feminists and what their definition of feminism was. Most people gave me a pretty simple answer, something along the lines of, feminism is advocating for the equality of men and women, etc. So, it's simple, right? What more is there to it? A lot, actually. I wish it was just as simple as it sounds. A lot of people answered yes on my poll, that they were feminists, but 45 people answered no, and my initial reaction to this was anger. I scrolled through the people that voted no, and I thought, how is this possible? How can I be friends with these people? And I kind of just wanted to throw my phone out a window. But in my little fit of rage, I realized that I was perpetuating the problem, the negative stigma around feminists. I was acting like the extreme, exaggerated, angry feminist stereotype, when that's not me, when anyone who truly fits that stereotype isn't really a feminist. Instead of giving in to my initial anger, I decided to think more about why people don't identify as feminists. I'm sure a lot of you, based on my polls and research, think that men and women should be equal, but you don't consider yourselves feminists. Now, I don't think there are a lot of women out there that actively think, I'm inferior to men, or men out there that think, I'm superior to women and should be treated that way. Yet, only 26% of people consider feminist to be a positive term. The definition of feminism is advocating for the equality of men and women based on the equality of the sexes. So, just based on that definition, most people should be feminists, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case. There are a lot of factors that play into why people don't identify with the feminist movement. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm decidedly not here to yell at you or to condemn you for not being a feminist. I'm here to examine how the villainization of feminism not only reinforces traditional gender roles, but completely distracts from the actual, really important issue at hand, equality. I'm here to examine why we seem to be so afraid of modern feminism and how we can refocus our attention from that fear to the fact that in Saudi Arabia, women weren't legally allowed to drive cars until 2018. To the fact that there are 18 countries in which a man can legally prevent his wife from taking a job. To the fact that in Nigeria, a man can legally beat his wife for the purpose of correcting her as long as it doesn't cause severe bodily harm. If all of us could become more educated and look past angry feminist generalizations, we could become a society that's a lot less sexist. And this sexism doesn't only affect these women, it affects all of us. Simply identifying as a feminist, or recognizing the movement as critical, makes much more of a significant impact than you might think. Feminism can be classified into 3 identifiable waves, the third one still going on today. First wave feminists of the 1800s fought for opportunities that women have today that we don't even think twice about. Things like voting, holding political office, jobs, education, and so many more. So why don't we want to identify with a movement that has changed history and allowed for women to have countless more opportunities? Why are we okay with stopping the feminist movement now when we're finally starting to have a voice? Feminism has always been seen as radical, as anti-feminists originated within the first wave. The urgency of early feminism, though, is now somewhat gone, as people have moms that work, people see strong women in the media, and a lot of people with privilege don't see or face overt sexism in their own lives. That doesn't mean that it's not happening all over the world, though. For instance, in South Korea, where a woman was fired for simply wearing a shirt that said, "A girl doesn't need a prince," women are still facing issues that American feminists fought against decades ago. In numerous countries, feminist is a dangerous label that carries weight in society, and women fear for not only their reputation, but their physical safety when they simply identify as someone who supports gender equality. Sexism is also still prevalent in America in ways that we may not realize or think about, such as unconscious bias. For example, in a study recently done at Yale, it was proven that something as trivial as our first names has an impact on how likely we are to receive a job. In this study, Identical resumes, except for the first name, were given to recruiters, and the obviously male candidate was more likely to be seen as experienced, gifted, and was more likely to receive the job and get a higher salary. This is implicit bias, as we're not even aware of it. So clearly, sexism is still a prevalent issue. Another reason that people don't want to identify with the feminist movement in today's culture is because of extreme media portrayal. The media commonly portrays feminism as what it isn't rather than what it is, which can be described by a statement by Pat Robertson that feminism is a movement that's anti-socialist, socialist, anti-family, political, and it encourages women to leave their husbands, kill their children, practice witchcraft, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians. While there are some positive media portrayals of feminism, people tend to remember the extreme, man-hating feminist rather than a moderate feminist that simply supports gender equality. People tend to think that you have to adopt certain political views in order to be a feminist, which is untrue, as feminism doesn't have a political party. By definition, in order to be a feminist, all you have to do is support ending sexist oppression, and that's it. So basically, to be a feminist, all you have to do is not be sexist. Feminists aren't humorless or relentless, and they don't think that all men are the enemy. Feminism also isn't just about women. It's called feminism and not humanism because females are the underprivileged gender. And in order to achieve equality, we have to advocate for the rights of the underprivileged. Feminism is about bringing women up to where men are in society, instead of having to bring men down. I think the most important thing to remember is that feminism is really all about choice. It's about personal empowerment and what that means to you, not certain political or religious beliefs. Third-wave feminism is built on the assumption that not all women share a common gender identity, sexuality, or general set of experiences. All people have different perspectives, and yet we can all be feminists. There is no one feminist lifestyle or way of empowerment. Feminism does not tell any woman how she should solve her own internal conflicts, but instead it asks her to consider how her own decisions may play into a patriarchal system. You can be a stay-at-home mom, a STEM major, a writer, an electrician, or literally anything else, and still be a feminist. Feminism isn't restricting you or asking you to change anything about yourself as long as you support equality. To be a feminist, all you really have to do is support anybody's right to choose their own life path and be treated with respect. As I mentioned earlier, I'm decidedly not here to yell at you or to make myself a victim. And obviously there's a lot more to feminism that I could talk about in 10 minutes. But I hope I was able to shed light on why this movement is still important and still needed. Understandably, people don't want to identify as with something that is so stigmatized. But I think it's important for all of us to consider our own views on equality. So in the next couple of days, or in the next couple of minutes even, ask yourself, do your personal beliefs and behaviors support equality for everyone, or just for some? Is it possible that you have unconscious bias? If you support equality for women, but not feminism, could you articulate why? And finally, if you do support equality for everyone, are you willing to take a stand for it within your own life and sphere of influence in a way that feels right to you? With that in mind, I ask you to just consider embracing the term feminist and its true meaning. I'm not asking you to do anything extreme, you don't have to go to a march or anything, but simply identifying as a feminist, or at least opening your mind to it, will make you a lot more aware of the inequality in the world and sexism in your own life, so you can avoid being a part of it. People that identify as feminists are statistically more likely to acknowledge women's oppression and question traditional gender roles. So the stigmas that hinder people from identifying as feminists are really harmful towards our progression of a more equal society. By villainizing feminism, we're reinforcing the traditional gender role that women don't have anything important to say. True feminism is intersectional and important to all women in their journey towards equality. Feminism is also a movement for marginalized groups, such as people in the LGBTQ community, disabled people, and racial minorities. So if you care about the opportunities of anyone beyond white men, then feminism is relevant. Feminist should not be a term that people shy away from, a term that people are afraid of. It's a word that should inspire, that people should embrace. It's not an intimidating term. It's a term that empowers people's right to be whoever they want to be. Early feminists did not come all this way for us to be afraid to use the term now. There's a lot of power behind the term feminist, and by simply identifying as one, we're taking vital steps toward changing the world. My name is Katie Taguchi, and I'm a feminist. And I encourage you to stop shying away from the label, to open your mind, and to consider becoming one too. Thank you.